We'll start. Okay, perfect. So we're recording now. Hi, my name is Bianca Giuliani. I am the intern for Pandemonium Publishing House. I chose to join Pandemonium as my co-op because I'm very interested in publishing and writing, and I thought it would be a good way to sort of get a better understanding of how this career and industry is.
Excellent. And I'm so glad that you're here and, welcome to our team. And we're really excited to have you on board and just have some extra hands to help us and brains to help us get all of the things that we need to do done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm here to interview Lacey for my co-op assignment, and this will help me to get a better understanding and to get to know Lacey better, and also hopefully the viewers.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah. So the first question is what is your position at Pandemonium Publishing House?
My position is the owner and founder of Pandemonium Publishing House since 2015.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you created this wonderful company.
Oh, thank you.
The second question is, at what stage in your life did you decide that you wanted to pursue your current career in publishing?
Okay, this is a funny story because I didn't actually want to be a publisher. Okay. When I was a kid, I wanted to be one of those people that went out onto the ice and stitched up the hockey players. So, I mean, it's close, but so I actually didn't decide that I wanted to be a publisher until I would say 2016, because I had written my first children's book after doing a children's literature course. And I decided that, this was really cool. I'm going to try this out just to see how it goes. And it went from there. So I'll be 40 in June. So minus 6 years. So
Perfect. Yeah.
I was old when I started my career.
Yeah, no, I think your interests are always changing. So it's really good that you had a long time to sort of just get to know yourself a little bit more and decided to build this company.
I thank you. I think it's really hard as I don't want to use the word kids, but as a teenager, it's really hard to kind of figure out what you want to do basically for the rest of your life after you leave high school, and you have to choose what field you're going to go into. That's a big decision. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of effort, all of these things, right? Mm-hmm. So I decided to go to school for marketing, and I'm really glad that I did, because having a business background helps in this industry. But I know that we'll get into that with your other questions.
Yeah, for sure. The third question is, describe some of your day-to-day tasks and responsibility as CEO and founder.
Sorry about that. Okay. This is recorded video, so hopefully we can edit this. If we can't, that's okay, because everybody knows that Luna is our company mascot.
It's a great addition.
We have pets all over the place here. So sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, some of your day-to-day tasks and responsibilities.
Day-to-day tasks and responsibilities. The buck stops with me, to be completely honest. So everything is at the end of the day something that I need to sign off on, something that I need to make sure, we're hitting deadlines and budgets and all of those kind of things like we need to be, because my name is on the door, basically. All of the emails that we have with our readers and customers and clients, I have to make sure that everything is working the way that it should be in terms of tone, how we communicate effectively with those clients and readers and everybody who orders from us. So without my team, though, this would be this would be impossible because we all work so closely together. And I am only one person. I can't be in 15 different places at once. And without them, this company would be impossible to run. So big shout out to my team, Gina, Marianne, all my authors, all my interns, because without them, I wouldn't be able to do half of what I do. And I would not be very successful at doing the things that I was doing without their help.
Yeah, of course. That's a great answer. The fourth question is, what made you decide to choose this career? Were you influenced by your education or your personal interests, your lifestyle, maybe parents, money? And what inspired you to be here?
Okay, so I think that what inspired me was kind of like the marriage between business and marketing and books. I've always really loved literacy, and I've really loved. Sorry, I'm really not laughing through this interview. This dog is licking me all over. So what inspired me was literacy and business and marketing and figuring out the psychology of why people do the things they do. Why do they buy books? What kind of books are they buying? All the data that goes into that, and being able to see children's literacy improve and being able to see kids that hate reading suddenly love it because of the stories that are out there and offered. When I started Pandemonium Publishing House, I wanted to make sure that we were writing books that kids love, that they're interested in, that we had genres for all different types of people, because that's really important too, is to have a really good variety of things to offer. But for motivation for me, it was definitely, why do people do what they do? And I'm going to marry that with books. So why do people buy books? What are they looking for when they buy a book? And that kind of led me into the other part of my career, which is neuromarketing and consumer neuroscience.
Mhm. Yeah, I also wanted to point out that one thing that you said was that really interests me is that when kids read stories that they like the story more than other books, it's such an important thing, because when I was little, I absolutely hated reading books. And now it's like the most important thing in my life, honestly. And it's such a big interest for me. So
I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah, so I think authors writing different types of books for different types of people is so important for me. And I really like that you said that.
Awesome. Thank you. And
Of
I'm
course.
glad to hear that you love reading. That's so important, because we know that illiteracy is linked to so many things that are detrimental to society and people in general, for their own individual lives, right? So literacy really, really, really matters.
Yeah, for sure. The fifth question is, what career path did you take or are currently taking for your job? And what education was required for you to start this company and to get your position?
This is a really loaded question because I have a ton of education behind this. So the thing with publishing is that you're always, always, always learning, and you're always in some type of continuing education.
Mhm.
So what happens is that when you want to stay on top of everything that's going on in your industry, everything that's going on in your field, especially with marketing, neuromarketing, consumer neuroscience, all of those things, you are constantly learning. So if I'm not learning about that, and I'm learning about new trends in publishing, or I'm learning about different market shares in the industry, or I'm learning about new neuromarketing techniques, or we're finding new data and how to analyze and implement that data into our marketing campaigns, let's say.
Mhm.
So it's a continual learning cycle. There's a lot of publishers out there that don't do that. They do a lot of things traditionally. They don't necessarily look into other industries to see how they can implement some of those things into their own. So it's constant learning all the time. And I mean, I've done tons and tons and tons of education all over the world, London, Toronto, New York, Boston. My background is consumer neuroscience and neuromarketing. Then I also have crafting viral and contagious content at Wharton. Now I'm enrolled at Stanford for writing in the sciences. So we're always trying to learn and improve and use different techniques to communicate more effectively with our readers and with our customers and clients.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, for
long story short, if you're going to be a publisher, you're in school forever.
sure.
So
Yeah.
make sure that you want to do this. If you hate school, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, that it is definitely a job that requires a lot of learning and communicating and always wanting to do more, honestly.
Yes.
So the question number 6 is, can you suggest any educational programs that would be helpful to go into publishing or to writing?
So yes, I did children's literature and publishing. Those are the courses that I took. I also took marketing. I took consumer neuroscience and neuromarketing at the University of Copenhagen. And then I also did crafting viral and contagious content at Wharton. Like I said, I'm enrolled at Stanford for writing in the sciences. So basically, take a business course, okay? If you're going to do publishing, you have to have a good handle on business. Marketing is key. If we say that cash is king, marketing is queen, okay? That's what I always say because it's so true. It is one thing to write a book, it's another thing to sell it. And that is the point of publishing, is to be saleable. Because if you're not, then you're not going to be in business for long. And what happens is that a lot of places close up shop as publishers because they're not on top of what is happening in the industry.
Mhm.
So, what's shrinking, what's growing? Are audiobooks taking up market share versus hardcovers? Do we do those anymore? What's going on with ebooks? How do people read nowadays? That type of thing. I was at a course when I was in London at the book fair, and they said to us, the average adult has 5 minutes a day to read for pleasure or for leisure. So why in the world would we write 100,000 word manuscript or book or publish something in that length if people don't have time to read those types of books, right? So it's a constant cycle of being educated in so many different ways, not just formally, but in other ways as well. With workshops and classes and seminars and courses and online learning, in-class learning, all of these different things. So it's really important to get as much education as you can. But even more important than that is to implement what you learn into your current strategies so that you can have longevity in this industry.
Yeah, I agree completely what you said with what publishers are always needing to look at what's in right now. So is fiction selling more than nonfiction or romance more than thriller? And that's very important for publishers.
And it's even more than that because of the fact that, as publishers, we don't really jump on trends. I tell my authors this all the time. If you're writing for a trend, you've already missed the boat. Okay, it has left the dock. We are behind at this point if you are writing for a trend. So what we want to do is we want to focus on really good stories, but more importantly, get those readers invested in the characters. Because if nobody cares about your characters, what's the point?
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
in very specific genres. That's what we're talking about, fiction versus nonfiction, right? That's a whole other can of worms. So.
yeah. Our other question is, what type of experience would be beneficial to your role?
Oh gosh, okay. Some retail experience for sure, because you are going to be dealing with the public and, selling books and showing up at author events and supporting your authors. That's really important to get to know your customers, who they are, who your readers are, what they like, what they don't like, what resonates with them. So I think retail is a really good way to kind of get that information and be able to use what you've learned to make it the best possible customer experience. So the other thing is that not only retail will give you that type of experience, just kind of being around kids would also do that. So I don't know, just watching them and observing them and seeing how they think and how they see the world, especially if you're a children's publisher, because that's really important. You have to know your target in all areas. Another great experience would be, like I said, have a business degree or a business background. Read as many books as you can, because you're going to see what works and what doesn't, what's out there that's working and what's not selling. Read business books, all of these things to educate yourself. And another good area that you could use in publishing is obviously marketing. And we've niched ours down. We've taken marketing and kind of really compacted it into this very specialized area of neuromarketing, because we want to know the why behind people doing what they're doing, right? So, like I've said before, people purchasing books, why did they pick this book? Are they going to choose this book based on the cover? Are they going to choose it based on the color? Are they going to choose it based on how the font is sitting, the material that it's made out of? All of these things are essential to know. And it's really one of those areas where you just have to constantly be exposed to it. And that's why I say retail too, just to go back to what I said at the beginning, because you're going to come across all different types of people and what makes them pick up one book versus another. Right? That's where the interesting part is.
I also, yeah, I completely agree that getting used to all different types of people and different types of cultures is definitely important, because as you get accustomed to these differences, you are widening your connections. And it's really important because publishing has all different types of people from different places with different backgrounds and all of that. So yeah, I agree, that's very important. Question number 8 is, what do you like best about your job?
Oh gosh, definitely my authors. 100%. I would go to the wall for them. I would do anything that they asked me to do. And I love that part. I love them. I love getting out and talking to our readers. I love getting out at events and just seeing different businesses and how those vendors operate their tables. You know, going into bookstores and doing book signings. Marketing, I love. I could sit here and talk to you about marketing for the next 14 hours, but nobody's excited about marketing like I am. So I realized that after a bunch of years. It's one of those things where I have so many facets of my job that I love that it's kind of hard to pinpoint it.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's when you have a job that you love, there's no exact point that you prefer over others. It's just the whole package.
Yeah.
Question number 9 is, what do you least like about your job?
What I like least about my job, definitely the rejections that I have to send out for authors who send in their manuscripts. And, you know, when I was an author starting out, I had enough rejection slips to wallpaper the side of my house. Okay, let's be honest. And I really decided then and there that as a publisher, I was going to offer as much constructive criticism as possible. But sometimes what happens is that people take things personally. They don't want to know what they need to do to improve, or they take offense to kind of what you're saying. But that is definitely the hardest part of my job. Rejection, because nobody likes to be rejected. I hate sending out those rejection letters, but it has to be done. We can't publish everybody and everything. We have to remind ourselves that we're a very specific brand. We're chaotic. We are organized chaos. We're pandemonium. We're mayhem, all of these things. But we also need to remember that you know, not everybody writes in the same way. Not everybody is going to be able to kind of understand what it is that we're looking for, because sometimes it changes from day to day, or sometimes it changes from season to season or genre to genre, right? So for example, right now, we're looking for stories that are middle grade novels to fill that hole in our niche and our lineup that we have. In order to fulfill that, we want stories that kids really care about. So we're talking about the ages from about, you know, 10 to 12. We know that they're dealing with self-discovery. We don't want to talk about mom and dad too much because they're kind of getting out of that. Mom and dad are still there, but we really want to focus on what people want to read about. And especially with kids, It's important because if they don't like the story, if they don't like the characters, if they don't connect to them, they're going to kind of correlate that with, I don't like reading, right? So it's one of those things where sometimes there's so much focus put on this is why we can't publish your work, that people don't understand that it's not personal. It comes down to what's in our lineup already. How far out have we planned our lineup for the next 5 years? Sometimes we're planned up to. How many books are similar that are out there? What's going on in the industry now? What are the themes that are happening? So it's tough to kind of convey that message in so many words in a rejection letter. And I never send out a form rejection letter because I feel like the authors who have submitted their work deserve better than that. But that is the hardest part of my job. So that's like a two-part question: rejection, but then explaining the reasons why behind that rejection.
Yeah, of course. So question number 10 is there an opportunity to grow and expand within your role or within the company?
I don't know how I could expand within my role. I'm the owner and I founded the company. So I don't know if that's something that kind of would be able to be expanded upon.
Idea.
But what I can expand on is my knowledge and my authors, my illustrators, and the people that work in the company. And there's always room to grow and take on new options, take on new roles, take on new responsibilities and things like that. But I really try to put the right people in the right role to make sure that it fits. We use people where their strengths are and that kind of thing. Because that's where they're going to be happiest. That's where they're going to flourish. That's where they're going to do a good job. That's where they're going to be able to really enjoy what they do. And when you love what you do, I know this is cliche, it doesn't feel like you're working, but it's very, very true. As an adult now, I realize that that is one of the most important things that I've ever learned. If I didn't love this, I wouldn't be doing it. Because you know what? You spend so much time working. You give up so many things from your life in order to, make things happen. So it's your free time, your weekends, you're answering the phone at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night when you were supposed to be done at 5. You've woken up at 4:30 in the morning to kind of get things into the printer because this formatting didn't work. So whatever it is, you really have to understand that if you're not in this for the passion and the love, then find a different career.
Yeah, I totally understand. So our question 11 is what advice would you give to someone wanting to pursue your career or your position?
Oh, advice would be to do what you love. Absolutely. Put in the work. Okay. I'm not going Kim Kardashian here by any means. But what I am saying is that it's really important to figure out what you love, put people in the right roles, figure out what you're good at, figure out what your strengths are. What do you love to do? If someone said to me, you don't have to ever worry about money, you've just won the lottery, would you still do what you're doing? I absolutely would. 100%. I would absolutely do this for free if that were the case, because that's how much I love doing what I do. We literally take ideas and bring them into physical form. How cool is that, right? You have to love what you do, but you also have to be really good with people, because you're going to come across so many people, different walks of life, different ethnicities, different beliefs, religions, people who are maybe not going to see eye to eye with you and you're not going to see eye to eye with them. So you really have to understand that, you really have to understand that this is one of those things where you have to believe that what you're doing is so much bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
You have to have a reason for getting up on the hard days when you don't want to, in order to do what you're supposed to do. I have a team of authors that I can't let down. I have a team of illustrators that I can't let down. We have readers that are expecting new books. And if I didn't have that passion and love and calling and purpose, then what's the point? I wouldn't be able to do it on the hard days. And that's what you have to remember. The passion and the purpose behind this are what matter most.
Yeah, of course. That was a great answer, because it gives a good understanding for people who want to go into this industry that you're never going to have like a day where you're not thinking about the company or the people you work with and all of that.
It's not about you anymore. It's
Yeah.
about everybody else. And it's also one of those things where you have to remember that, your lack of dedication is an insult to the people who believe in you. So that's something that I really believe in, because you don't want to let people down, but you also don't want to let yourself down. Mm-hmm. You have put in so many hours in this industry. I mean, at the end of your life, are you going to say, oh man, I wish I hadn't have done that, or I wish I had spent more time doing this? Maybe. But if you have a purpose tied to that that's bigger than yourself, you're not going to say that. You're going to know that you did this for a bigger reason, right? Mm-hmm. We're doing it because we want kids to love books. We want to ignite that love of literacy early on so that they can become readers for life. We want to entertain people. We want to educate people. We want to have those real issues discussed through literature in order to have a better understanding of who people are, why they do the things that they do, and where we fit in the world.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And for our last question, what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
Oh gosh, 18 years old? That was like a lifetime ago. Wow. I would just say definitely put the work in, get down to brass tacks, stop losing focus, make sure that you have a clear plan of all the steps that you need to go through in order to make this a possibility for yourself. Mm-hmm. People focus on the end goal. The power is focusing on the steps that lead up to that. Mm-hmm. So let's say that you wanted to be a publisher. All right, that's the end goal. What are the steps in between that you need to fulfill in order to get to that place, right? And focus is a huge part of everything that you do. And I would definitely tell my 18-year-old self, you know what? Get your nose down in your books, do what you're supposed to do. If my mom is watching this, she would say, I told you that from the beginning. Mind your own business, do your work, and then get it done, and then you can move on to other things. So it's one of those things where I really would like to tell myself, don't waste any time. Do the things that you need to do now so that you can have your future self thank you for what you've done.
I'm not 18 years old yet, but I think that would probably be something I would tell myself too.
You're not 18 years old yet. Okay.
All right.
Wow.
Close.
Good. If anybody needs me, I'll be walking into the sea.
But no, that was a great. I would definitely tell myself in the future before very similar things.
Yeah, definitely. Right. That's what matters. It's putting in the work now in order to get to where you want to be. And you know what? Here's the thing. You might not always know what you want to do, but you have an idea of the steps of what you need to do in order to be successful. So for example, you're studying your work, being responsible, showing up on time, doing the things that you said you were going to do, keeping your word. All of those things really matter. And that's kind of what we have to tell ourselves at that age, because we're still figuring out what we want to do. We're still figuring out who we are. Where do we fit in the world? So I think it's essential to kind of give yourself that information as soon as possible, because it's only going to help you. Yeah.
No, that's a great thing. But yeah, thank you so much for sitting down with me and doing this interview.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. And sorry about all the dog nonsense and the window.
That was
and
a great addition.
Like so yeah, it's one of those things where when you have interviews and you go live or record it or whatever, you can never tell what's going to happen.
It's always like that.
Yeah.
But But yeah, no, it was good. All the answers, all the information was a great thing for people who want to go into the industry and who want to even maybe become the own founder of their own company and all of that.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much for having us.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining me.
My
And
pleasure.
yeah, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Thanks, Bianca.